All right, so this is the follow-up to the aqua tint inspired drawing. And so the other one we use pen, spray paint, and white paint. This one we're using charcoal pencil, fine charcoal, compressed charcoal, eraser, and then I have this one too that's kind of helpful. It's a mechanical eraser, so it's like a mechanical pencil. You pump it and the eraser comes out. I'm just using this because I'm working smaller than you guys are working. You guys have the whole large 18 by 24 paper, but since I'm gonna do it on the smaller paper so I get done faster for the demo, I'm just using this for details. So, but anyway, so what we want to do, first step, you want to draw your contours of what you're drawing. So I'm going to draw a gorilla. So I'm going to do the shape of his head first. Alright, so this is just getting the contours, the edges down first, the outlines. And also in this stage, what you could do is you could put in, like, look for the biggest shadows. You can put those in. Alright, so that's enough for the contours. And now, so this is the first stage. I just want to get my lines in there so I get the form in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the vine charcoal. I'm going to go over the whole thing so I could get like a gray fill in for everything. And so I'm putting it on really light. And so if you put this on even enough, you should still be able to see your drawing through it. And then just to kind of lighten it up more, I'm going to rub it in with my fingers. So I'm toning the whole paper. And anywhere that gets kind of missed, I could add a little more. Alright, so you should still be able to see your drawing through this gray you put down. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and kind of render things a little more. If there's more dark, I could add in more dark. If there's parts that are lighter, I can use my eraser. And so this way I could go both directions. I could on top of this gray, I could add darks, or I could use the eraser and put in lights. And I can make those highlights stand out if I put dark right next to it and kind of blend it out. I think for the eyes, I'll just start with a couple of light spots, because then it's easier to draw in the darks around that over the light. And so I could go through, kind of render each area just by adding light, right? Or darks if there's some darks in there, or layering it. So I'm doing kind of like a hatching or cross hatching technique, and with fur, I like to go with the cross contour. And I use little short strokes for this to give the get the texture of the fur. So I put the strokes kind of going with the form here. Put some highlights on this side. I'm going to give the mouth some form. Get some light on this side too, so he's almost like backlit. And then I'm going to use the compressed charcoal, so this one will be darker. And I could go in and just kind of do the background, kind of block in the whole thing. So I start with the edge first, and then work my way out into the space. So that way I'm not accidentally drawing the background over any of the subject matter. And what I do it's like I could cut in really intentional and get the kind of form I want to get. And then just blend this in with your finger to make it smooth, get a good solid dark. And then if there's any parts in here that I want to have, you know, as dark as this to kind of make the foreground and the background kind of feel like they're in the same light. And switch to the pinky finger to get those little areas blended in. And so this is like a back and forth kind of drawing. So you're going to switch between different materials to get it exactly the way you want. You use, you know, compressed charcoal for darker, vine charcoal maybe for softer blends. Right, and then eraser for any kind of highlighted parts, and for big areas like use the larger eraser. And then you can use your eraser like as a blending tool to like start out maybe brighter, like kind of harder, and then with, you know, a little less pressure, you could blend out that light spot to make it kind of fit in. Right, if it goes too far, you could put in a little more vine charcoal, kind of give your highlight a better shape. So you want to go back and forth until you have it just right, what you're trying to get. But what I like about this technique is you're able to go quickly between dark on light and light on dark. And you can kind of settle somewhere in between to get it exactly where you need your values. So for instance, I'm using this eraser to give me some light fur. You know, or I could come back in with the charcoal pencil and get a little more control. My marks. Like anywhere it seems too light, I could put in a little bit of vine charcoal. Alright, so this is kind of a quick smaller version of what you guys are going to do. So you guys use a larger paper, you know, so you could really get some details. into your drawing. But yeah, go back and forth between using maybe vine charcoal, where you need things grayer, right? Because the smudge is easier. Charcoal pencil, where you need details, right? So some dark details. And then your eraser for whatever highlights you want to pull out. And your compressed charcoal for anything that you need dark. All right, so you should have areas of really dark grays and highlights. So that's what you're going to be going for from this one. And so if you're using your regular white eraser, if you need to get thin edges like this, you can always just get an X-Acto knife and you could cut off a little piece. And actually what I'm going to do is I slice off that, and then I'm going to slice this side so that I have this sharp point. And so I could use this to get really thin highlights if I need it to. So I could just shape it with an X-Acto knife. And then another thing about how a knife can be helpful. So your pencil, usually what I do is I sharpen it with a X-Acto knife or like a box cutter or utility knife, because rather than putting in a pencil sharpener, because the pencil sharpener kind of grinds down this a little too fast. This way I'm able to kind of start like further back and get a more flatter angle on this. So so I'm able to like not waste any of the charcoal. And so I start kind of back there and try to get as flat an angle as I can get. And then the end, you can either sharpen with the blade, or if you have like some sandpaper, you can just lay it down and you can draw on it sideways in sandpaper, and then that'll make this really pointy if you really need a fine tip. So, but yeah, so that's a technique using vine charcoal. Actually, you do charcoal pencil first, vine charcoal second, and then either your eraser for highlights or compressed charcoal for the really dark parts.